a quick Devar Torah. In this week's parsha, we have the incident of the rape of Dinah and the aftermath. As the story goes, Dinah was out in the fields with other women. Shechem sees her and lusts after her and rapes her. And he kidnaps her as well. So when her brothers hear about it, Shimon Levi decides something has to be done. We can't let this.
What's the line? Should our sister be treated like a, you know what?
Right.
It's a great line.
It's a great line. It's like Yaakov is upset about what they do because Shimon and Levi go and they say, okay, if you want to marry our sister, you have to be circumcised. 3 days into that, when they're very weak, the whole town gets circumcised, the whole place. Shimon and Levi come in and they kill all the residents, all the men. So the question now comes, and then Yaakov, when he hears about it, is very much afraid. He's upset. He said that he probably could have handled it better. And then that's when Shimon and Levi say, wait a minute, our sister was raped. We can't defend her honor. There's a lot of interesting insights into what's going on here. First, it's that Shimon and Levi are standing up for the family, that they're defending their sister's honor. That also, remember, Yaakov hid Dinah from Esau. So this is sort of like coming back at you. You didn't want her to be with Esau? Just see who's going to come after her. And so this is a big issue. But the issue of Shimon and Levi taking the law into their own hands. Now, their case is this is what happened. We have to get back at them. But it's not just revenge. Shechem, this place Shechem, was not following the laws of Bnei Noach. One of the mitzvot of Bnei Noach is to set up a court. And Shechem should have been put on trial for what he did. But because they didn't have a court system, they didn't do it. Or they might have said, okay, that's okay by us. This is what men do. So in other words, Shechem had to be punished for what he did. The townspeople had to be punished because they did not see anything wrong with what he did. One of the interesting silence is acquiescence. One of the interesting things, if you look into, say, the Code of Hammurabi, they have a sliding scale of justice. Depending where you are in society, depends on your punishment. If you're wealthy, if you're rich, if you're in charge, if you have a public office, you have a minor, it's not so bad. But if you're a poor person, it is horrible. In other words, it depends on your status. The Torah comes by and says, no, there's no difference in status. Someone commits a sin, it is a sin. And they're treated the same across the board. It doesn't matter who the victim is. It doesn't matter the social status of the guilty party or the victim is. It's the same justice for all. Now, Yaakov could have probably found a different way of handling this, much more diplomatic. But, so the Torah is against also what we call vigilante justice, meaning you don't take, just because they're not doing the right thing, you don't take the law into your own hands. There is a system set up, you have to follow the law. And that is the most important point of this. This is not to get political, but there are people complaining about some of the stuff the current administration is doing, and yet when you ask them, they say they cannot cite anything that the current administration is doing that's illegal. Just as a side note. So it's not a political statement that I'm making, but you have to operate within the law, and that's the most important lesson of this particular incident. And that's why Shimon and Levi get sort of punished later on because they can't control their anger. You have to control it. Something to think about